Thank you, Mr. Spiller. If you don't mind, I'd like to conclude with some of the questions that I had before, just to create a little bit more clarity about the amendment as amended. So one of the things that's of concern is that in your floor sub, multiple times the word contractors is listed. So you list personnel that could be granted immigration enforcement authority, but in the original version it only included officers and employees of the Sheriff's Department. So why in the sub did we grant immigration enforcement authority to contractors?
Well, to the extent that we have some jails that are not operated by the people the Sheriff's Department, they may contract that out, then those people would be authorized to be part of this.
So your understanding is this is not any outside contractor, this is only the contracting of counties with private prisons per se, because they may not have a prison themselves?
I don't know. I think the term is expanded where it's broad enough to cover whoever that might be that would be in a position to serve these warrants, or whether it be warrants of arrest for immigration offenses or warrants of removal. So whichever it may be, I think that term is broad enough to allow that. But again, they're only served in a jail facility under the warrant service model. And so
you got to my next question. You don't foresee these contractors acting as immigration agents outside of anywhere other than a jail. Is that correct?
Correct. This bill only requires it. Now, if they choose, you have the part of the bill where if they choose to participate at a more comprehensive level, and that would probably be under the task force model. But to do that, that operates outside the scope of the jail. That's a different thing. But except to that extent, the warrant service model is only in the jail, only executing things on people that are otherwise already in jail on other criminal charges in violation, potentially, or at least allegedly, of the state of Texas.
Okay. Thank you for that. I want to switch gears here a little bit and ask you something. There's many people here that I've spoken with that have called our offices, that are probably in the gallery, that feel that while some would say that this bill makes communities safer, others will argue that it makes it less safe. And one of the reasons for that is when you begin to divert the attention of sheriff's offices from their, in a lot of cases, they're seen by community as being welcoming, supporting their law enforcement officers. But 287G around the land is known as, oppressive in some sense because of the history of this program. Do you believe in any way that you're creating, and it could be creating, a chilling effect now of communities and embracing their law enforcement, or the relationship with the law enforcement, and feeling that they maybe would not report crimes now because they know that if somebody interacts with law enforcement now, they could be sent away?
Well, I don't think so. I don't believe so. If a crime occurs, this is no discouragement to anyone to report a crime. Are you saying because if they think that this person that has committed allegedly a crime also has a removal warrant or a ICE warrant or a detainer against them, because of that they're not going to report the crime? Is that
no,
what you're asking?
I'm telling you, in a community that may have an undocumented community and a crime occurs, now they're less likely to want to interact with police because they don't want to make the call. If something happens within a family, an act of domestic violence, someone doesn't want to make the call. Look,
I'm not saying that couldn't happen if someone had that thought, whether it was a mistaken thought or otherwise. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. I would say, though, that what the focus of this bill is to make our communities safer, because what is more likely under certain counties that aren't following this is that they don't check. They don't know because they don't want to know, and they don't check, and because of that, they're releasing people that have removal warrants and other warrants out on them in the federal ICE system, and they're bonding them out and letting them go back into the street where they recommit crimes. That's what this is trying to address.
Respectfully, is it not a crime today for a sheriff or a jailer to not turn over to ICE someone that has an immigration hold?
Is it a crime for them to not do that?
Yes.
Not that I'm
It
aware
is.
of. Yeah.
It's a Class B misdemeanor.
Okay. Yeah. It may be a misdemeanor offense. Yes.
I think that that's something that we have to move past and not continue to say that people are being let out. The facts are the facts. Today, it's a crime for any sheriff. I'm sure Sheriff Lauterbach would not be letting anybody go because he knows now he has broken a crime, and his jailers.
If he knew. But that's what I'm saying. That's what this bill attempts to address, is a problem that it may be a crime if they intentionally or knowingly do that. But for them to say, we suspect that might happen, but we're not going to even check because we don't want to know. That's what this bill tries to address and tries to fix that problem, because we can't have them just consciously disregarding the data and the information that is readily available, takes that long to check if they will just do it.
Representative Spiller, I thank you for letting me come out to your committee hearing and ask you about my concerns specifically when a jail is overcrowded. In my Tarrant County jail, we had to shut down 4 days. And, you know, I can go down Montgomery County, 98% full. Freestone County, 98% full. Bexar County, 96% full. A jail population of 4,922 with a capacity of 5,108. We have an overcrowding problem. And we have a problem with ICE not picking these folks up. Are you not concerned with the conditions and the safety, in this case, even of U.S. citizens that might find themselves incarcerated, and we are going to exacerbate that problem with mandatory compulsory 287G? Was that ever a concern of yours?
Well, we look at all things, and I listened to your very straightforward questions in our committee, and some of those were taken to heart when we redrafted this. And so, I'm not going to say those aren't concerns. Cost and overcrowding of jails in Texas are always a concern, but the purpose here is if you do this, ICE has 48 hours to pick those people up, and if they don't do that, they're subject to being released. This bill does not stack people up in the jail. That's not the purpose of this bill. The purpose of this bill is to alleviate that, and also to find out the people that in our country that don't need to be in our country and that frankly may be subject to removal under 8 U.S.C. 1227. So that's the purpose of this bill.
Yeah, I understand your intent for the purpose of the bill, but my point is that all of us should be concerned with what happens in our county jails. And let's say, for example, because of your bill and us having to hold these folks, maybe we're releasing folks that are local criminal activity, and now we're having to release or dismiss those folks earlier than otherwise. We might actually be releasing people that could be more dangerous to our community.
Well, I don't believe that, but and I also, my understanding is from the communications that I've had and that Representative Lauterbach has had, I know because we've talked about it, is that ICE is ramping up and attempting to cooperate more with Texas, waiting on this bill to be passed so that we can have better cooperation and more efficient operation of these folks that are detainees that ICE is required to pick up.
Yeah, well, I think that the folks that you talk about that are being released after 48 hours may be some folks that might have some simple misdemeanor offenses and they let them go. But if they're being held on something greater than that and they have an ICE hold, they're not letting them go in 48 hours, Representative Spiller. That's my point to you. And if they're not letting them go in 48 hours, they are taking the position, they're stacking that jail. They're going to stack them even more. They're going to be overfilled, and I think that's a great concern. Should be a concern for all of us. When I was in your committee, I mentioned that in Tarrant County Jail, in 7 years, we've had 65 deaths. Something that we should all be concerned with. And so when we have 65 deaths, that tells me that jail is not being run as safely as possible. And while we have Jail Standards Committee, the Commission on Jail Standards, I would say that the work...
The gentleman's time has expired.
Move adoption.
Members, this is a vote on the amendment. Mr. Moody's, no, excuse me. Okay, this is a vote on Mr. Spiller's amendment as amended. If you're in favor of the amendment, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote no. It's a record vote. The clerk will ring the bell. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Being 111 ayes, 24 nays, the amendment as amended is adopted.